Honorable Chair, honorable members, good morning. Honorable members, I will not say that the minister's directive was unlawful, because yourself, as members of parliament, have never passed a legislation that makes a letter of that nature to be unlawful. Therefore, I don't think a person can be taken to court as a result. However, I feel that the content of the letter, it's an indication that the ministers was basically exercising powers that are not necessarily deferred to him, which was bordering into the operational part of policing. But why do I say that? Is that if you look at the three items that the letter is addressing, one item talks about discussions that must be held surrounding the borders. I think that is more relevant to the minister. It's a strategic thing that the minister must engage with executive to understand what's happening with the border security. So that one, for me, I'll give it to the minister. But the one that directs that there must be an immediate freezing or filling of post, I feel is not within the authority of the minister, although the regulations have been amended, which allows the minister to have a say in terms of appointment of senior officers in the police. But it only limits the minister to that any appointment will be done by the national commissioner in consultation with. It does not necessarily give the powers to the minister to appoint in those positions of crime intelligence. I think the act only allows the minister to appoint in the post of DPCI only. That's the only authority the minister has. So in filling those vacancies or suspension of those vacancies, I feel the minister might have exercised the powers that he really doesn't have. But of it being illegal in terms of the law, I'm not sure. I don't think it will be justified as that. The last part of the immediate suspension of or disestablishment of the team, as the minister's words on the letter, again, I cannot say immediately that such a directive will be illegal. However, the consequence as a result of that becomes a criminal matter. Because when you disestablish something and that is busy with a criminal investigation, you are not replacing it with anything. So we are in short saying that the investigation must stop. So that therefore it's breaking the law. So while the letter contains all the three subjects, the last one that talks about the disestablishment of the team without giving reasons, without explaining what happens to the investigation, that for me is the one that could be regarded as breaking the law. So in short, in summary, I will say then the letter does break the law, although not the entire content of it. I do not know yet. As I had said earlier yesterday that I've registered a complaint and there's a criminal investigation. I'm told that the criminal investigation is in advanced stage and the part of what they're investigating is exactly that, checking the communication between the minister and the chief of staff through WhatsApps, through emails, through everything to trace that letter. Where did it originate from? So I guess that matter will be ventilated in court. I don't have the details now. I would like to believe that it is a person linked with the Minister of Police. And the matter of fact, it is my belief that it is a person within the South African Police Service. The honourable members, the reason why I propose those names is because of the role that those people were playing in influencing the trajectory or how the organization is managed by the minister going forward. So after having learned that Mr. Mohosi is close to the minister by the chief of staff, after having heard the minister himself said that Mr. Mohosi is his comrade. So understanding that as a minister, you are executive authority that come from a political party. So perhaps it is that political party through that comrade that gives you this advice politically of how you must manage the organization. And the worry was the continuation of this individual, Pran Mohosi, having access to sensitive material of the police and the impact of that in terms of the minister's role as executive authority is what I wanted to bring to the attention of the minister. And so that the minister is aware of the implications of allowing Mohozi to do that, and what is the consequence as a result that's going to come after that. Same with inviting General Khan. I specifically picked up General Khan amongst everyone else because it is Mohozi that brought Khan into my picture. And it is General Khan that almost everything bad happening at crime intelligence seems to center around. That I know his role in the political space where he interacts with the politicians. And I wanted all those things to be discussed so that the minister understands that the Police Act has got limitations of what police officers must do in terms of the political space. And if a police officer is invited to play this active role in the political space, what consequences are going to come as a result? So that's why I identify these individuals, not to say, Honorable Chair and members, that if there was any criminal incident that has happened or the criminal involvement or act by these individuals, that such will not be pursued. It was going to be pursued. But what I felt was important at the time was to prevent the further damage that was caused in the organization by the roles that these people are playing and how the minister eventually takes decision being influenced by these individuals. So that was a main reason I wanted to have all of them under one roof. My family is a responsibility of police officers around the country. I said in the public before that I've got family members in majority of these provinces of South Africa. And to guarantee their safety, it's up to the men and women in blue out there to provide security. I don't have money, Honorable Chair and members, to hire bodyguards for my family members. It's impossible. I cannot do that. So their safety can only be guaranteed by men and women in blue that are out there that's supposed to be protect everyone else. So I might believe that their safety is equal to the safety of every citizen. Their vulnerability in terms of crime applies to the rest of the citizens of this country. So they are not different to anyone else. There's no special provisions for them, and I cannot guarantee whether they are safe or not safe. They are immediate family members to me. They are extended family members on me, and then there are other people that we became close to over time that are all over. So I cannot give a 100% guarantee about their safety. It is what I'm trying to fight for, that the South African Police Service must be allowed to make sure that we protect the citizens, including my family members. Honorable Chair and members, the entity within the NPA that is responsible for investigating corruption in the country, which was recently established, I say this divided into two sections. I made an example yesterday and I invited the members to do the profile of an arresting officer of the members of crime intelligence. You're going to know that he's an ex-crime intelligence member. And when you look at what IDEC is supposed to deal with, then you ask yourself whether does this investigating officer, Mr. Padayache, fits the profile of being appointed at IDEC to first place. Whether does he have qualifications, skills, and everything to do with investigation to deal with such sensitive cases that the legislature was intended to be done by IDEC. That's a point of departure that you're going to see that is people that will just move. That's the first thing. Secondly, you look at the number of cases that are within IPIT, or they were within IPIT when Mr. Sesoko was still the boss, head of investigation at IPIT. And how many of those case dockets were moved from IPIT to IDEC? And what was the reason for such movement? And that's another reason why I'm saying that. And thirdly, you look at just a profile of all the cases IDEC is dealing with, and you take that entire caseload, you compare with the establishment of IDEC, and you see whether a typical example of the arrest of an appointment of an officials within crime intelligence of who's going to earn a salary over a period of 12 months of just over R1 million, does it meet the requirements of what IDEC was established for? For IDEC to travel from Pretoria, coming here and take a statement from the complainant, the Member of Parliament, is that what the legislature was intending to do with IDEC? Or has IDEC lost the plot? So those are the typical examples that I'm putting there. The other members within the very same section of IDEC I'm talking about might have found themselves there because they're looking for jobs. But we are here today because some of those members do not like what's happening. They themselves, they are there, they see the wrong. They are doing because they're employed, but at least they get to share this information. Hence, we are here today. We are privileged that there might be members within the very bad section of IDEC, but they are good in their heart because they are able to share this information with us. They are there, they can see what is wrong, and I cannot expose them now and say so and so and so and so. So while the section is a bad section, but not everyone in that section is bad. There are members within the very same section that are good at heart. They just don't like what's happening, and I cannot give their names, unfortunately. I want to isolate that one, Mr. Padaj. I will argue that he's not.
Okay.
He's an enabler. He's a pawn in a game.
Okay.
He's the one that's been used. You know, as when you in your house, you're going to have the small dog that is very sensitive to noise, is going to bark, and then you have the real big dog that will tackle an enemy. So that's what Padache is.
And I hope that
he's a runner.
I hope that the general is not saying Padache is a dog. Eh?
No. I did not say he's a dog. I said he's a pawn in the whole scheme of things. He's the one that is more the runner. He's the one that goes to the Inspector of Intelligence to negotiate things. He's the one that goes to court and demand cause. He's the one that the magistrate, in the bail condition of the members of crime intelligence, the magistrate give Padache an authority to access crime intelligence. If these members want anything at crime intelligence, they must get it from Padache. So Padache, being an ex-crime intelligence member, is given a carte blanche to enter from point A to point B of the Office of Crime Intelligence by the court of this country.
Okay. Let's go to the arrest of General.
Honorable Nola, before we proceed, can we just confirm to the members that the statement that the general made was metaphoric? Can we get that confirmation? Look, what he says is that when you have a small dog and a big dog in the house, and the understanding must be that it is a metaphor. Is that so, General?
That's why I use the word, for example, when I started. So
that we must not live here with that impression. I know you said it, that he does not mean that so-and-so is a dog. And it must be clarified for everybody's understanding that this phrase or this statement is metaphorical. We have a common understanding, all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. No, the general understands that it was on a lighter note.
Honorable Chair and members, I did indicate yesterday that it's a sensitive project that is within the intelligence.
Okay.
I cannot elaborate much on what's happening. Safe to say that it being regarded as Gauteng counterintelligence operation, it will involve the intelligence community of the country. Therefore, although there is an investigation, criminal investigation that end up in court, but in terms of the extent of the risk that the investigation is involved with, and the targets that have been identified through that investigation, I'm not in a liberty to talk about it because one, I'm not necessarily part of it. I got to know about it by default because of the counter that has been happening in order to stop that investigation. So that's why I became aware, but I'm not in a liberty to talk about it in this platform. Honorable Chair and members, it's going to be important to understand that I said earlier that General Kumalo and the team are facing attacks on two sides. One attack is in relation to the investigation that's happening in Gauteng, which is mainly drugs that are operating. And that affects the people that are closer to the senior investigators in the South African Police Service, because when cases are open, they expect police officers to take those cases and make sure that they are not investigated further. That is on one side. And on the other side, which I think is more critical one, is that the arrest is affected because of the fight back by members within crime intelligence who are against the reforms that are introduced at crime intelligence. So they want to take control of a crime intelligence. So it's in those two bases that you're having criminal issues on one side in Johannesburg, but you also have crime intelligence fight for these members to have control over these resources. That's what, in the main, I believe, that leads into this arrest. That's why you're going to see the court coming up with a court order that says you are accused of having been part of the panel to appoint one person who applied for the post in the police. You facilitated that appointment, which you didn't necessarily appoint yourself. You were just facilitating on behalf of the National Commissioner, and you made recommendations, but you get arrested for that, for being part of facilitation of that process. And then the court makes a court order that says, we are accused of having done this wrong. The state is accusing you for this. And this incident happened at this particular address in Pretoria. But the magistrate rules that you are prohibited from entering any crime intelligence offices anywhere else in the Republic of South Africa. So even if there was a crime intelligence office here in Cape Town, they are not supposed to enter the premises. So when you ask yourself, what is the relevance of not entering an office of crime intelligence in Cape Town versus you being accused of being part of the panel to appoint someone in Pretoria? You just doesn't make sense. I'm not a legal expert, but the common sense tells you that there's more into this than what we hear. Someone is going to accuse me and say the matters are in court, you can't talk about it. But the truth be told, we all human beings. We all got weaknesses as human beings. One way or another, you become weak on something for whatever reason. So I believe in this case, that bail condition that was granted was not coincidental, was not just a mistake, was a calculated move. Honorable Chair and members, I'm not sure whether the members have the statement that should have annexed on this statement, which is a statement that I presented before the Madlanga Commission. If I were to invite the members, maybe I think it's attached NSM 3, if I'm not mistaken.